Welcome to another edition of Tonight's Watch. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
And, okay, first of all, has it not felt like every single one of these episodes could have been like a season finale for the show?
Pretty much.
It's been fucking epic.
Everything that's been happening, I don't even know. I don't have words. Like every episode, like the first episode this season was already escalated, and they just keep escalating from there.
It feels like, you know how usually in their seasons you have like the first 7 episodes are built up. 8 is usually a little bit of shit going down. 9, all the shit goes down, and then 10 is usually kind of fallout from everything.
Right.
What this feels like is like, since this was 2 books combined into 2 different seasons, and the way they had to like piece it back together, it almost feels like the first half of it, which was season 5, almost feels like episodes 1 through 8 of a standard season, and this whole season is just like shit hitting the fan all over the place. It's crazy.
Yeah, you and I had actually talked about that theory on the Will Be Expletives podcast when we were talking about how since the last season and this season are 2 books combined, we're getting all the build-up from both books last season, and this season should be batshit crazy, and that's exactly the way it's shaping up to be.
If this is your first time checking us out, what we do every week, every Sunday night, is basically do a quick spoiler-free overarching thoughts of what we, gathered from the new episode, and then we go into the full spoilers. We make sure to let you know. So, Ron, any quick spoiler-free thoughts to give away before we move on?
I would just say that so far this season, you and I started out saying this episode is housekeeping, and then it's gradually gone. This one has a little bit of housekeeping. This one has a little bit less housekeeping. I wouldn't say this one had any housekeeping. I would say this one was, we have a bunch of loose strands hanging from previous seasons, and now we're starting to see where a lot of those loose strands are starting to tie together. That's the only thing I would say.
Brilliant job they've done. And I will just say, if you have not watched it yet, for the love of God, watch it as soon as possible, because
do not let Twitter and Facebook spoil this.
You do not want some of the shit from this episode spoiled for you, because it is absolutely ingenious. But yeah, with that, why don't you cue up spoiler warning, Ron?
Okie doke. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Spoiler, spoiler,
Victor
spoiler.
Will Robinson, moving on. So the episode begins with Sansa, Brienne, and Littlefinger. And I actually thought this was an incredibly important scene for Sansa, because the way she just carries herself is even more so than what we talked about last week, about how she seems more like Catelyn Stark than Sansa.
Yes.
She is such a strong lead now that I love her character.
She honestly carries herself to me like Baelish with the authority of Catelyn Stark. She's got a little bit of both of them in her, because those are her 2 strongest influences.
She's straight up, and that was one of my notes, she is out Littlefingering Littlefinger.
Yeah, pretty much.
In that scene, Littlefinger is her bitch. At any moment, she could have him killed. There is nothing he can do to stop Brienne if she sicks her on her.
And the look on his face that entire scene, and as that scene progresses, just how his state of mind just keeps going down the tubes as she's talking. Dude, I love the Baelish actor, the Littlefinger actor. I can never remember his name for the life of me, but
Aidan Gillen, I believe, is his name.
Dude, he like I said, he can say everything without saying anything. And that scene, he did the least amount of talking, which is unusual for his character.
I also loved Brienne's go to hell look that she has at Littlefinger the whole time.
And the other thing that I wanted to point out about that scene, like you're talking about how Sansa's completely in command, that's also a first for any scene with Littlefinger. Because usually when he's in the scene, he's the one in command. Like, I've always kind of likened him to basically the devil himself. Anyone that makes a deal with him is like making the deal with the devil. And this time, he was almost literally cowering in the corner. He's kind of in the corner of the room, and he's just kind of shrinking back.
And what was also absolutely brilliant juxtaposition via the writing is the last time we saw him, he was doing the exact same thing Sansa did, but to the commander in the Veil army.
Yeah.
He's basically, in complete command, and they even have a little subplot of, if I want you killed, you will be killed.
Yeah.
And the shoe is completely on the other foot, the very next episode. Just more fucking brilliant screenwriting by Benioff and Weiss. Which, did you also notice this too? I think all the episodes but one have been written by the showrunners this season.
No, I did not notice that.
That usually Benioff and Weiss will write, for sure, the first episode, 9 and 10 usually, but they have written pretty much all of these episodes so far. Very odd, and it also makes me think, too, about how we were talking about how Season 5 and Season 6 are the two books merged. Right. I almost wonder if they had everyone else, who is still good because they're Game of Thrones, they're on the Game of Thrones writing team, but it was almost like they gave the setup to everyone else while they could really focus on this second season in the two books
I guess
combined.
They've got two climaxes to work out, so that would make sense.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that was the case, which would make sense because if that season is going to be set up anyway, you want the payoffs written by the showrunners. So
yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to say about Littlefinger and Sansa?
I did write down one Sansa quote to Littlefinger that I thought was very good. And her quote was, "If you didn't know, you're an idiot. If you did know, you're my enemy."
Yeah.
Love that line.
Yeah, that was a pretty good line. So we go from there to, is it Braavos, where Arya is training to become one of the servants of the Faceless God? 6 seasons in, I'm starting to nail the names.
Right.
But yeah. Holy crap, dude. That other chick is a freaking ninja. When she throws down her staff, she doesn't take a single hit from Arya.
I know, it's wicked the way
it was
shot.
like something out of an anime fight scene.
And I go back again to one of my common threads in that the fucking sound effects in Game of Thrones give me heartburn. Because when Arya gets uppercut by that staff earlier on, oh my god, I felt that in my face. It was not okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about Game of Thrones sound effects later. I think you know what I'm referring to. But, yeah, so we had that whole scene, and then the lady tells Arya that, you'll never be one of us, and then Jaqen's quote of, "She has a point," and then walks off, and she follows. I loved the line. And, it's nothing badass or anything. It's just purely simple, like everything in the Bravo scenes are. But when he says, he was the first of the Faceless God, first servant of the Faceless God or whatever. And she was like, who was the first? And he was no one. I just fucking love that for some reason. I don't know why.
So good. Fucking more great acting by that Jaqen dude. I love that guy so much. He has the most odd character and line delivery to give, and he's always gold at it. So yeah, basically the plot line is that he has given Arya one more chance, and he makes that very fucking crystal clear.
Yes, he does.
There will not be a third. He sends her out to kill an actress who is in a local little group of actors and actresses who are doing pretty much plays of the history of Westeros. And I actually put this down. When they go over and transition to the play, it is one of the most disturbing parts of the show I think I've ever seen.
Oh, I know. And what's sad is that is not that far-fetched for back then. That's the type of shit that went on.
That's the same thought I had, too.
Yeah, because, people showed up for public executions for the fun of it. It was a family outing. To see a play like that, which basically was your wrap-up for all the previous seasons also. Just Jesus Christ, dude. And then to watch Arya watching the play. Sorry, go ahead.
And what's crazy is you're watching Arya's expression, and it's mirroring your own because you have the exact same reaction to all of the actors and actresses as if you're Arya, because we spent so much time with these characters. They're basically family for you too.
Yeah. Dude, when they pull out Ned Stark on stage, my facial expression was basically the same as Arya's. Oh god.
I know. I seriously wish I had myself recorded for this entire episode. because Jesus Christ. But yeah, I also like too how they've shown that Arya's experience of becoming blinded really did totally humble her.
Yes.
Because she has the scene with Jaqen when she goes back to him and tells him her plan of execution, where she's going to poison her bottle of rum, I believe. And, you know, she starts to kind of talk back to him, but as soon as Jaqen stops it, she's done.
Yeah.
She stops. Before, she always would have taken it that step further of being, you know, super aggressive Arya. And I think Arya, if she is in complete control of her emotions, is one of the most dangerous characters they can have in the show.
Yeah, I agree. The last thing that I had to say, because like I said I was going to bring up when he completely shut her down and all that stuff too, but on the play, another thing that I thought was genius about them having that in the episode was kind of the way that I view the Gotham Knight animated movie for Batman. Is it completely shows you what the public perception of all of these characters are. And, you know, one of the most stark contrasts is the Ned Stark one. Because he's the exact opposite of the character they portrayed, you know, on the stage. But all of the characters, like I said, it just shows you what people in Westeros think of all these characters that we have been seeing this entire time now, including Sansa Stark, apparently.
Yeah, to people, you know, like the common folk, you know, everyone having to do with the battle for the Seven Kingdoms is just an asshole. That's just how they view them. They don't give a shit. They don't have omniscient access to what's actually going on like the viewer does. So really, why shouldn't they think they're a bunch of assholes, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I thought it was a pretty interesting way to showcase, you know, because one of the biggest characters that has been in every season that you never really get to see their point of view is the general public in the series, because a lot of them have led a lot of the revolts or this or that we've seen, and they've been a major player, especially with the Walk of Shame scene. But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting little thing that they tossed in there.
I agree. And with that, they move on to Bran.
Holy shit,
dude. See, okay, we talked about in the last couple of episodes about how Bran's storyline went from like the least interesting thing in the show to one of the most interesting things of the show, and right now everything having to do with him might be the most interesting thing.
Yeah, like probably some of the most important.
Like what they're, and then first of all, let's just describe the scene when they go to him. He is with the three-eyed raven, and he's seeing a flashback to the fucking origin of the White Walkers, and I'm just like,
yeah,
like what? I wasn't expecting that shit till like way down the line,
if we ever even got it.
Yeah, and then you get the origin that it is the children, the underlings under the three-eyed raven,
right?
Who basically did like this magical ritual where they embedded dragon glass in the sternum of it. It looked just like a regular dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just completely taken aback at how, first of all, it was an awesome little origin out of nowhere. And then second of all, that we got it when we did. I wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect it at all either. But yeah, it was just like, oh my God, that shit was, like you said, it's completely out of nowhere, completely dark, and this is the scene I was referring to with the goddamn sound effects in Game of Thrones, because as she is very slowly inserting that dragon glass into his chest, like the sound, you can hear every bone crunch and scrape, and yeah, I didn't want to hear any of those sounds.
My therapy bill does not approve of that.
I know, it was, ugh. But
so and then it's revealed then that not only did the children create the White Walkers, but they actually created them as a defense against mankind.
Yep.
Which means that, like, holy shit, they are effective at their job.
Yeah, and a little too much, because now even, you know, the children of the forest or whatever fear them and see the need to annihilate them, and they're just completely running amok and taking over.
Yeah, and they completely barricaded themselves up in that cave where none of them could get in. So it was very much like, Frankenstein's monster turning on them,
Yeah, exactly.
It was intense. Was there anything else you wanted to add with that little bit of Bran?
No, we'll circle back to Bran later.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. So from there we transition to the Iron Islands. And my first note was, this is like the 7th subplot, and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time they were doing a political debate.
I know. It's so much more interesting than the actual political debates.
I know. I actually put down as a note that if all political debates were like this, I would actually follow politics.
I liked that moment in the debate when basically all eyes were on Theon.
Yeah, that was what I was talking about. I was so on the edge of my seat, dude.
Yeah, and then he, they had it kind of set up with what's he gonna do? Is he gonna usurp his sister, or is he gonna go for his sister? I kind of always knew he was gonna be on the side of his sister, but the thing that I liked about it was, for a moment, he was Theon again, not Reek.
You know what I got a flashback to was the moment before he got captured and taken to Ramsay. He is giving that speech at Winterfell before his own dudes turn on him for the Boltons. And then it's like the very last thing you hear is like one of the standard army dudes. They're like, dude could give a speech,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I really like that. I really like the fact that he threw in with his sister. I really like his sister. We haven't seen a whole lot of her except glimpses here and there. I'm glad that she's a stronger contender this season. I
totally agree. She's very cool. I also liked the scene where they show Theon winding down from his speech after he, has supported his sister in front of everyone. And they show Theon, he's tearing up. And as soon as he's done with the speech and he looks at his sister, he immediately looks down at the ground again.
Yeah.
Like, it literally pained him to be able to talk to people like that.
Yeah.
Because he's still
think about what happened.
But he's still broken.
Think about what happened the last time he did. That's how Bolton managed to take over. Ramsay Bolton, Ramsay Snow, I guess back then at that time. Because he had sent Reek in to basically do that same job to get these people to surrender, and they'd be guaranteed that they'd be let go or whatever and treated well, and then they all got skinned alive.
Yep.
So that the last time he rallied the group, they all got skinned alive.
More brilliant acting that it showed him to his sister that it pained him, and he still backed her. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I just enjoyed that we got a glimpse of Theon again. But yeah, then the uncle showed up. I don't like him, Jeff.
Uncle Euron is kind of a prick.
Yeah. I mean, first, he just kind of shows up on the scene and throws his brother off a bridge.
Historically not cool.
Yeah, definitely not cool. Seems to be totally acceptable in the world of Game of Thrones, but definitely not cool. Not cool, bro. And then he shows up, and the first thing he does, just like any other political debate, starts slinging mud. I mean, just left and right.
Euron is totally the Donald Trump of Game of Thrones.
Basically, we're going to build a wall to keep Westeros out and make them pay for it.
We need a second wall. The White Walkers can pay for it.
It's going to be huge. Yeah. So it did surprise me, though, that his plan is to get married to Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah, that was actually one of my notes, is how we called it. They have now basically submitted the idea of this naval fleet they have being used to get Khaleesi from point A to point B.
Yeah. But I didn't expect it to be him to have that goal.
No. And then I put down a note, too, that the scene where they initiate him basically as king, it consists of them drowning the person and then having them come back to life. And then for a fucking second, because of who was writing the show, I thought he might just die.
Right.
And then that whole brother subplot was just bullshit to fuck with you.
Right? That would have been genius.
Like it takes so long for him to cough the water up. I was like, you sons of bitches pulled a Whedon, didn't you? But yeah, and then at that point, he comes back to life pretty much, which I love. They have one of the cooler family mottos, like "What is dead may never die."
Yeah.
And then like they literally fucking drown you to be king. It's very cool. But then he's like, "Oh right, I'm king. Let's do this shit." And they go up the hill, and Theon and his sister have taken the entire fucking fleet. Was amazing.
I know. I love it. That was one of my notes. Theon and his sister hijacked the fleet. Yeah. And they've been gone a while. They're almost to the horizon.
So I thought that was really fucking cool. How like you're kind of led to believe that Theon and the sister lost. It's like no, they had enough people on their side where they were able to hijack their entire.
I was gonna say she had a lot of followers because they all threw in with her, and that's high treason.
So we might end up getting fucking full out naval civil war. That's pretty damn cool. I can't think of another time where we've had like civil war via naval combat. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very looking forward to the Iron Island storyline because I honestly don't have any inkling of what the hell's going to happen.
I know, me either. So you pointed out how Euron's idea is to go and become married to Khaleesi.
And
so
they said, how are you going to seduce her? He's like, oh, the Navy's going to seduce her. The fleet's going to seduce her.
What do you think the end game is for Theon and his sister then? Like, do you think they're going to try to just straight up partner up with Khaleesi and let her still... Because Euron's whole thing was basically, she's going to be my queen and I'm going to lead. Do you think Theon and his sister might go and just try and partner up and let Khaleesi stay in charge?
I don't know. I can't tell if that's their idea or if Khaleesi even comes into the picture for them. Because right now, as far as they're concerned, Theon's sister, which I wish I could remember her name, it's probably something I can't pronounce anyway. But as far as they are concerned, he just stole the fucking throne of the Iron Islands from them. They got to get that, they kind of in their mind, it could be that they got to get that back before anything else.
Or maybe the way that they plan on doing that is using Khaleesi's numbers against him, and basically use his own plan against him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a fascinating little subplot they have going. Like, you could make an entire TV show off of that subplot, and it's like the 7th subplot of the show. It's crazy. Like, I would watch an entire TV show based around like a naval civil war type of thing.
Dude, everything cool. With the Iron Islands fascinates me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm trying to find the name of the sister. Let's see. Yara, I believe. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, exactly. I knew it'd be something I couldn't pronounce if I knew what it was. But, yeah, dude, I don't know. She's just one of the most interesting characters, I think.
Totally.
But speaking of interesting characters...
and strong female leads.
We transitioned back from there to Dany, who is at the still at the Dothraki camp getting ready to head out. And what's interesting is this scene had nothing to do with the Dothraki or anyone. It was all her and
Jorah. All her and Jorah.
Yeah, it was her, Jorah, and I can never remember what's the other dude's name.
Dario.
I am so happy that she's back on the Jorah train because he's one of my absolute favorite people in that show. Fucking,
if anyone earned it, that son of a bitch. I love her line where she's like, "I kicked you out twice, and you came back and saved my life."
Yeah, and as by my count, she had kicked him out twice, and he had saved her life twice. Because that first time he came back, he threw a fucking spear over her shoulder,
so metal,
and killed one of the assassins. And then this time he came back to save her again. So, but yeah, so happy she's back on the Jorah train, and that scene started getting a lot more emotional than I expected it to.
Oh, I almost got choked up, dude. Like, when he is pretty much, revealing all of his feelings for her that he's had this entire time because, he thinks this is the last time he'll ever talk to her because he is basically resigned to. He has come back. He has helped save her twice, so he'll go off into the sunset and die. That's pretty much his entire, plan.
We had spoke in the last episode, I believe it was, about Dario's respect for Jorah, even though it seems like he has none. Well, we see that a little bit more in this scene, just a touch, because, no pun intended, because anytime she takes a step forward towards Jorah, Jorah takes a step back, and Daario takes a step forward to get a little bit more between the two of them, because she doesn't know that he's cursed with the stone men thing.
Grayscale.
The grayscale, yeah. But he's not saying anything. He's just basically standing back, and if Jorah says something, fine, but it seems to me if Jorah doesn't, then he's not going to tell her about it.
Yeah, he'd let him have the floor pretty much.
I did love when they both, she took a step forward, he took a step back, and Daario took a step forward, like, whoa.
And then the idea that, and I wrote down the quote too, when she starts talking to him about basically like, when I take the Seven Kingdoms, I need you by my side. I'm still your queen. I command you to go and save yourself. Like, that was so awesome. That was such a beautiful scene.
Yeah, I really loved it. I don't know if he'll succeed though, but we do know that there is a way to at least put it on pause. But I thought it was so cool that it's like, even if he doesn't survive, she saved him because she gave him one more purpose, and that purpose was to, do something for her. I just thought it was so beautifully done. For her, for himself. Yeah.
I actually have what I think is eventually going to happen, and this actually transitions us a little bit over to the Varys and Tyrion storyline. I think eventually when Khaleesi does leave, I think she might leave Grey Worm and Missandei in charge of Meereen when she eventually does leave. Because they start setting up this whole thing that we're going to talk about in a second with Varys and Tyrion. And who better to, have in charge where they still have an inkling of what they're doing and they're trustworthy than those two.
Right.
And then you could have like a whole scene about how Grey Worm, is basically fighting it. He's like, I want to go and fight for you. And she's like, you can fight for me here for them, type of thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, we'll transition now over to, unless you had anything else to add with Jorah.
No, I was just happy to see Jorah getting back in the game.
Yeah, I love me some Jorah, dude. But yeah.
Jorah the Andals.
So we go back to Varys and Tyrion, and they're talking about the fallout from the slavery compromise that Tyrion set up, the 7 years to abolish slavery thing. And it's going well. They haven't had any reported uprising.
It's so good so far.
Yeah. I like the Varys quote of where he's saying, "For now is the best we get in our profession."
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that a lot.
And then we transition over to a dialogue between Tyrion and Varys and a new Red Priestess that we are just now getting introduced to.
My exact note was another priestess ? ! Exclamation point. What?
And holy shit, dude! It ends with fucking Varys being confused and speechless, and that is not okay.
Yeah,
I was scared.
Again, my exact note was she broke V. Yeah. And then the revelation that, and of course we don't know, we just met this priestess, we don't know how trustworthy she is, but we had the one that we do know say she now knows that Jon Snow is the one that was promised, and this one is saying that it was Daenerys Targaryen that was promised.
Which, FYI, Daenerys makes so much more fucking sense than Stannis. That's not even funny.
Right.
She literally comes back from fire. So it's like, if anyone's going to be a religious fanatic about someone, it should have been her and not fucking Stannis.
Right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know which is which, but dude, the look on Varys's face as she just keeps like you can tell that she like broke through all of his mental blockades.
Yeah,
like,
she
completely won that dialogue.
She is able to completely recall somehow a moment from when he was a kid and he became a eunuch.
Yeah,
and he is just speechless for probably the longest amount of screen time that he's ever been on screen before.
Again, just like Baelish.
Yeah.
Usually if they are in the scene, they do most of the talking, and they are in complete command of the scene. But not this time.
I know. I loved how both of them happened to get one-upped, and it happened in the same episode. Like, that was not a coincidence. That was planned.
Yeah.
And
I love Tyrion the entire time, too, trying to salvage the situation on both sides.
Yes. Clearly, my friend has some religious issues, but... So, now, now, I know how Tyrion is seeking out her help. How exactly is she going to be helping them? Because I guess they're talking about how they want someone to be able to be completely in charge and obeyed when Khaleesi's gone. Is that what you kind of got out of it too?
A little bit, but to me it sounded more like her priestesses are going to take to the streets and spread the word about, it was Daenerys that struck this deal.
Okay.
And did all this because she said, she has that dialogue at the end, and I don't remember the exact quote, but that she was going to go to her most eloquent priestesses and have them go out into the streets and basically just spread the word.
Ironic, too, that they're basically recruiting little birds, and it's Varys who gets completely owned in the conversation.
Not only that, I find it funny that they are using a fanatic religious organization to help them the way Cersei tried.
Yeah. So it's probably going to backfire terribly.
Yeah, the I see what you did there. The parallel there is kind of uncanny to me. I mean, they're not the High Sparrow, obviously. This seems to be a different type of fanatical organization, but they're still shady as fuck to me. So,
oh yeah, those fucking Red Priestess people, man. Like,
yeah.
Like agenda after agenda after agenda.
Dude, their agendas have agendas. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Anything else to add with the Tyrion storyline?
Nope. I can still see the look on Varys' face when that scene ended in my head. Okay. And it just, you never see that. Usually it's a look of, yeah, that's right, bitch, I just won. And no, he was almost fearful. Yeah, it was, man, I was stunned along with him. It was not okay. Yeah.
It was not okay. So with that, we transition back to Bran.
Working on his own.
And fucking Bran.
Had to go and do it.
So
I knew they dressed him like Anakin for a reason.
So he goes and, without the permission and assistance of the Three-Eyed Raven, starts warging again. And he wargs into a field. It looks like the same field where they were actually created because the spiral stone structure is still there.
Right.
And the whole Hardhome army is there. And they show them and it's completely silent and they are still even maybe more terrifying.
Dude, when he turned around, the exact note I have written down is, oh fuck. Because when I saw that, like my jaw hit the floor.
Yeah, I put down it's giving me PTSD flashbacks to Hardhome.
And then you see who I just started calling the Four Horsemen because
basically
you see the four of them sitting there, and then the king of them slowly turns and sets his eyes straight on Bran, and you're just like, oh Jesus Christ, he can see him.
Which, first of all, this show makes me realize exactly how awful the Walking Dead shows are.
Right.
Because the fucking White Walkers don't even have to do anything. And they're so more menacing than anything they've ever done on The Walking Dead. It's sad.
I know.
So, Bran, his arm gets touched by the Night King, and that pretty much makes shit hit the fan.
Yes.
That gives them access to the barricade. and Bran snaps back into reality, screaming, wakes everyone up, and then the three-eyed raven pretty much tells him, he's like, "It's time for you to become me." And then he tells him, "It's like, am I ready?" And he just straight up tells him no. And then they cut back to another storyline. I was like, "Fuck, dude, that is going to end awfully for everyone."
Yeah, no good can come of that.
Fucking foreboding as all hell. Was there anything you wanted to else add to that little section?
Nope, we'll get to it.
Yeah, I figured we would. With that, we go back to Sansa and Jon. They're pretty much analyzing their battle plans for taking over Winterfell. They're starting to realize that they just do not have the resources they need to take Winterfell. More good Sansa stuff.
They don't have the resources or the friends.
Yeah, more good Sansa. She's basically, sticking the hammer down. Like, we might not have the resources now, but we have a way. We have our names at the very least. And I really, really liked the dynamic of how Littlefinger still has a grasp of her, because at the end of the day, she still lies to her brother.
Yeah. Yeah, the one person that she's put all of her faith and trust and her very life into his hands, she still straight up lies to him. To his face.
It's like she can't help herself. It's like Littlefinger is a part of her DNA now.
Yeah.
It's so good. They have a scene where Brienne is actually being sent off by Sansa to, I think she was going to recruit their uncle, right?
I believe so.
The Blackfish, they kept calling him.
Dude, I loved the dialogue that Brienne and Sansa have when they get into her room, shut the door.
Yeah, I put down one of Brienne's quotes where basically Brienne is questioning her safety. And then Sansa tells her, it's like, "I'm safe here with Jon." And then she's like, "Do you not find Jon trustworthy?" She's like, "No, he seems trustworthy, a bit brooding, but understandable given the circumstances."
My first note was, "Jon? Brooding? No."
No.
Then I love when she brings up Tormund.
The Tormund thing, later on, when they show him smiling awkwardly to her and she's just like terrified, it was so fucking funny. I busted out laughing.
Everything about Brienne and Tormund is amazing, dude.
I know.
And in a show that doesn't really have much comedy, it's so well done.
And the Tormund Brienne storyline is still a much better romance than Twilight.
It really is. And it's just, I don't know. I think part of the genius of it is just how dark the show usually is, and without humor. To have something so simple as the way he's smiling at her, and it's her just like, like it's just so funny. Which is funny because it's also like a character thing too. Because if you remember back, one of the reasons Brienne liked Renly so much was because Brienne was always shunned for her size, and no men would give her a second glance, and you got fucking Tormund doing that, and she still was like, "No fucking part of this, bro." It's like, it's just absolutely brilliant. I loved the little moment where Sansa gives Jon the wolf clothing that resembled Ned. Yes,
that was fucking cool.
I liked that moment very much.
At that moment, I again expected White Walkers to come pouring in from the sides because it was too happy of a moment.
But, as touching and everything as that was, one of my absolute favorite moments of this scene is led into by the cloak thing after they leave. And then the dude runs up to Ed and says...
I put that note down too, yeah.
It says, "Lord Commander, should we close the gate?" "I'm not the Lord Commander." He just kind of stands there and everyone kind of looks around. He's like, "Close the bloody gate."
I like Ed. Ed's awesome.
Oh, that was so funny. I laughed so hard. And that's probably the last time I'll ever laugh in this show after what we transitioned to.
Okay, let's get to the big thing. And I don't even know how I want to get through this again.
My first note, I'll start us off with that. The first note I literally have written down is the word "fuck" stretched out across the page. because one of the first things that you see is, you're having this happy little moment between Dude's sister and Hodor talking about what breakfast they can have. And they're tired of eating moss and all this other awful shit. And then they start noticing they can see their breath, and they couldn't before. And
I was so scared. It was just breath, and I was so scared.
I know. And then they go outside, and it's just hot goddamn,
Dude, did you notice the fucking music when they started going outside? It was straight up Hans Zimmer shit. It was intense.
And all they were doing, once again, was sitting there. Foreboding is all hell.
The whole fucking Hardhome army's there, led by the Night King's 4 horsemen dudes. And it's just fucking, like you were saying, like their imagery alone, they don't have to do anything. They're just such a menace because they're written and the special effects are so good.
Yeah.
Like they have better special effects than most movies, and I don't understand how that's a thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's just absolutely insane. Then I had the next 2 notes that I had written down were Hardhome Warg Edition and World War Walker. Because holy shit, dude. So many flashbacks to World War Z during these scenes.
That one of my notes was the scene of them scuttling each other, getting up on top of the mountain to burrow in was terrifying. I also liked the special effects on how the children were doing like the fucking grenades.
Yes.
Like they looked really cool when they would detonate and blow up like 12 White Walkers. It was super cool. And then when they start, cutting through their defenses was, I think, even more terrifying than Hardhome, which is hard to top, but the amount of people and the dire wolf, and it's just like all the shit that starts going down, you're just like, oh my god, like it hits you in the gut harder.
Yeah.
Like the scale is smaller, but it's more personal, and it's like when they start cutting through the defenses, and they have, when you were talking about earlier the sound effects, I thought you were referring to the dire wolf.
Oh dude, the dire wolf stuff.
Because as a dog lover, having to watch that,
I know.
The sound effects of the dire wolf getting stabbed and killed, and its last final barks and everything were heartbreaking, and the sound effects of the stabbing was just gruesome as hell. And then they're taking out fucking the children left and right, dude. That one goes out like a boss.
Yeah.
And it's just like, holy shit, Game of Thrones. Like, they shouldn't be able to surprise you, but they totally do.
Yeah, all the time.
So, why they're having to defend without the help of all the people inside is the Three-Eyed Raven is trying as quickly as he can to upload the rest of the information and know-how to Bran so that he can take over the job pretty much.
Yeah.
So they're stuck in a flashback back at Winterfell, back to where Ned Stark and Hodor are a kid. So I forget her name, but the sister is trying to get the Three-Eyed Raven and Bran to wake up so they can leave, and they just can't get their attention. And it's just nerve-wracking as hell. And they eventually get Bran to wake up, and then they need Bran to wake up in order to have Hodor get him outside of the cave, because he's the one that can carry the sled as quickly as they need to get out. So Bran, while he's in the warg mode, is able to grab hold of Hodor. Hodor, in the current present time, starts then dragging him down the hallway. They're escaping. That's right when the last member of the children blows herself up to take out. That image of them scuttling down the fucking cave and on the ceiling too.
Yeah, I know.
Good God.
Yeah. Dude, Game of Thrones did World War Z much better than World War Z ever did it.
Well, dude, fucking Game of Thrones has outdone 50 years of zombie fiction, period, in these White Walker scenes. It's crazy. They're not even fucking zombies, really.
Yeah, not really.
And it's just so crazy. And then we get to what I have been dying to talk about.
What is it? What is it with zombies and doors?
So they get to the end of the doorway. The only people that are still alive are Hodor, Bran, and we need to fucking figure out the sister's name.
Yeah.
But they've closed in. They're coming to kill them, and then they make it through the door. Hodor breaks open the door, and then he has to turn around, and the sister yells back, "Hold the door." And Hodor braces the door, and then they're cutting back and forth between the present and then Bran, who is still stuck in the flashback. And it is the most brilliant reveal I think I've ever seen in anything.
Yeah.
Like, just, and that sounds hyperbolic, but this reveal is so fucking brilliant and has so many seasons of setup of what was an in-joke with Hodor's name.
Yeah.
And I wish I had myself recorded because I about broke.
I sat up in my seat. It was.
I did this. I was like, cliche, cover my mouth. That I don't even know. I don't even know what I was going through. But the fucking roller coaster of emotions of the last 10 minutes of this episode. But as the reveal of Hodor is bracing the door, basically sacrificing himself. Bran is still stuck in the flashback, and it's basically confirming how he can change events in the past because Bran made Hodor the way he is.
Yeah.
He sent him into his fit and the seizure that broke him at that moment. And
yeah, basically Hodor's whole life from that point on was specifically to die here.
And at that, and Hodor, it was so cyclical and brilliant. And fucking Doctor Who has been writing time travel stories for 50 years by great novelists and screenwriters. I don't think they ever did anything that clever.
Yeah.
To where Hodor the entire time was the way he was because of Bran in that moment in the past. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. And then his name actually, and then once it clicks that his fucking name came from Hold the Door.
The first time his eyes rolled back and he dropped to the ground screaming "Hold the door," I immediately was like, "Oh God, Hodor!"
I know. Yeah, as soon as it clicks for you as a viewer, you are just like, I think I said out loud, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
it's like there are no words for how brilliant that is. And I actually watched the after episode special with the showrunner, so I was curious if it was them or if it was Martin. And they had, what was hilarious, they revealed that it was revealed to them by George R.R. Martin, the origin of his name, over like dinner at a hotel. And they said that their reaction was they looked at each other and they said, "Holy shit."
Yeah.
Like the exact same reaction as, like, they got to have a fan reaction to it too. And dude, fucking Hodor has been a goddamn in-joke for 6 seasons.
I know.
And then for it to have that meaning was just heartbreaking and gut-wrenching and brilliant and beautiful, and there are no, like, all the adjectives.
all the
fucking adjectives.
All of them. Yeah, dude. Yeah, and then, again, not only did they do World War Z better than World War Z did, they did Walking Dead better than Walking Dead did, because the parallels between that fucking revolving door scene in Walking Dead and this, where, you know, Hodor is trying to hold the door, they're breaking through Shining style and getting just everything. He's just getting torn apart and stabbed and everything.
His face is getting clawed.
His face is getting clawed, and he is not going to leave that door. And the entire time it's flashing back to Bran, to Seizure, and then back to Hodor, and then to Hodor Seizure, and then Hodor at the door. And it's just like, oh my God. The whole thing was just gut-wrenching, and it was drawn out for so long and so slow. And then you have her voice the entire time hold the door as she's running with the sled.
And yeah, and then Hodor as a kid is, he starts with, while he's having the seizure, he starts out saying "hold the door," and eventually, as he just completely snaps, like the only thing remaining is Hodor, and then you're just like, you've already figured it out way earlier than that, but it still just hits you square in the gut.
Yeah,
like fucking devastatingly good writing. Fucking
I know.
George R.R. Martin. No one should ever give him shit at all for how long it takes him to write those books. That thing alone, that reveal, I mean, utter genius.
That shit like that takes time. That's one of the reasons why. He's weaving all the storylines so intricately that it takes forever. And this is an example of one of those storylines that was weaved so well.
And what's crazy is like not even just like your ability to formulate a story over time, but the amount of prep you had to do beforehand. Because the very first thing that you see with Bran is he gets paralyzed, which is set up for him becoming a warg. And then with Hodor's name, he had to have known that while he was developing the character, like what he would eventually do.
Yeah.
To have that specific of a name. So like you're telling me like before he even started fucking writing these books, he already has in his head the idea and concept of Bran being paralyzed and becoming a warg, and the idea of Hodor going out like that, like crazy good writing. Like I cannot give him enough praise for that idea. It's fucking genius. Like
I just thought he spent all of his time naked on trampolines.
I know. I watched it the first time, and it was so well done and heartbreaking. I teared up. And I watched it again the last like 10 minutes.
Did you?
I fucking teared up again. Like, fucking episode wrecked me, dude. Like, it really did. That ending was so good.
I know. I just felt sad at the end. I just like, I'm depressed.
I know. We need like a fucking therapist now.
I need a drink is what I need.
Like, I'm pretty sure like if you there's a fucking chart online of like psychiatry bills and Game of Thrones season to season, escalating upwards. Yeah, it's just goddamn. And like, what's crazy too is like, we've always talked about going back and watching the show over again, and you go back to the first time you see Hodor now. Every time you see Hodor, you're gonna cry,
dude.
Because like you.
Fuck the first time I see Hodor. Next time I'm in an elevator and someone yells "hold the door," I'm just gonna collapse into a ball on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love too in the after thing I was talking about with the showrunners, like just their raw reaction. They said the most shocking thing that they got out of George R.R. Martin from the books of what was to come was this.
Yeah.
That fucking revelation. Just like how brilliant it was. Because like he's been called Hodor for the entire show, and we've always just accepted it for what it is and not even really thinking about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just you can't. There are not enough adjectives to describe how good it was. Anything else you think we've missed on any of the plot lines, Ron?
Oh, I'm sure, but we were just racing to get to the fucking Hodor thing.
I know, dude.
Just because I don't.
My mind can't even process it fully yet.
Yeah, I can't either.
It's just throw adjectives at it. That's just my defense mechanism, I guess. It's just so good.
The writer in you just comes out to defend you. All the adjectives.
But it was just my fucking just mush brain because that fucking episode. Like if we weren't doing this show, I would have texted you that image of the mind blown. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
With the mushroom cloud brain. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly one of my absolute favorite memes.
Yeah.
Oh god.
There are no words.
No, there's not. I'm still trying to think of some.
This is goddamn episode 5, dude. We're halfway through the fucking season. Like, what is to come? Like, I can't even.
I've been trying to figure that out because this was like an episode 8 event, and we got that in 5. What happens when we get to 8?
I think we'll just have to be streaming it from our therapy sessions. That's the only. That's just like what we'll have to do.
The other thing of note is this was episode 5. Like you said, we're halfway done. I'm going to be so sad when we finish episode 10.
Well, I'm already this sad, so I'll just be like crawling across my apartment, not being able to get out of my house. Like,
yeah.
There are no words. I guess that's the only thing you can sum it up with. But yeah, if you would check this out and enjoyed us, we would really, really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. That gets you all of our content. If you would like to check us out on social media, we have Facebook and Twitter links in the description below. If you know anyone else that might also enjoy us, we would definitely appreciate a share. It helps us grow our subscriber base and all of that jazz. And for this night and all the nights to come, I'm Geoff.
And I'm Ron, and now this watch has ended.
Well,